What's the 5 songs you cannot miss this week? I've got the answers for you on this episode of New on Music Row, straight from the heart of Nashville, only here on the Rise Network. Hey, it's Chris Miles. Welcome to this week's episode of New on Music Row right here on the Rise Network. Took a break for a little Thanksgiving celebration with the family. Hopefully you enjoyed yours. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope you did as well, too. Let's take a look at what happened. So 2 weeks ago, we had our 5 picks of the week. And like I said on last episode, I was going to give you the numbers and break it down like week by week. We'll see how this works out. And we'll see if it's enjoyable. Who knows? We're running by the seat of our pants here. So 2 weeks ago we had After Midnight with Nate Smith featuring Tyler Hubbard, of course. Nate Smith's from Paradise, California. So where did he end up? The first week he had 613,000 streams, and just past week he had 303,000 streams for a total of 917,000 streams to end out the last couple of weeks. So not too bad. Then we had Dream Come True from Carly Pearce. She started off pretty hot, 362,000 streams. And then just last week, 123,000 streams for a total of 483,000 streams. Gavin Adcock was the powerhouse of the week, actually weeks, I should say. First week, he was at 540,000 streams, and then last week, he was at 545,000 streams. It basically came out to like 1.1 million streams for the last couple of weeks. And like I've said before on the program, he's the next up-and-coming big name that I think he's going to be around for quite some time. He's got some antics on the stage. We talked about it in a previous episode. You can go back through the archives and find it there. But he's kind of a character. Then we had Chase Beckham with Holding You, Loving You. That song, 171,000 streams for the first week, and then 107,000 streams last week for a total of 278,000 streams. And then finally, we ended out with Night and Day by Blake Whitten, who was also our Rising Star Spotlight of 2 weeks ago. He started off at 511,000 streams and then 374,000 streams for the following week for a grand total of 885,000 streams, sorry. So that's the 5 picks of the week from a couple weeks ago. After Midnight with Nate Smith featuring Tyler Hubbard. Dream Come True with Carly Pearce. I think I might have skipped over the names of the songs, so that's why I'm going over them here. Perfect Man from Gavin Adcock. Holding You, Loving You from Chase Beckham. And then Night and Day from Blake Whitten. So some pretty decent numbers for most of our artists here. Kind of where, we pretty much thought there'd be nobody really under, 200,000 streams total. So that's a pretty decent showing. Did we end up where you thought we were going to end up? Well, who knows? Let's move on to the 5 picks of the week for this week. Kicking it off with a huge powerhouse, Luke Combs. Got a new song coming out called Giving Her Away. Luke, of course, from Huntersville, North Carolina. I don't really think I need to talk too much about him. I mean, I think we all know who he is at this point. A couple weeks ago, we featured Days Like These on the show. We've also featured Back in the Saddle. He's got some other great big hits, too. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. But you know Luke, and, you either love him or you don't love him. And most people love him. So I think Giving Her Away is going to be another great song for you this week. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And don't forget, of course, we've got the Spotify playlist. Every week, I put the 5 picks of the week and a couple other songs, mostly like the Rising Star Spotlight. And then the final feature of the show, which is the weekly pick. Whether that's a song or an artist, I'll put in a couple extra songs in there as well. Throw in some other stuff just for color, too. When we get to the history section, there's some interesting stuff there as well, too. But Luke Combs' Giving Her Away will definitely be on the playlist for this week, so make sure you listen to it there. And, of course, listen to it wherever you listen to your music. Up next, we got Corey Kent making his way back. It's been a while since we've heard anything from him. His new song, Rocky Mountain Low, features Co Wetzel. And if you don't know who Corey Kent is, you probably know him from the song, Wild as Her. He catapulted into like stardom because of that song. He's got some other great stuff, though. Gold's a great song of his, in case you haven't dug too deep into his catalog. Something's Gonna Kill Me is another great song. This Heart was on the radio for a bit. And then Now or Never, which features Lauren Elena. That is an absolute powerhouse of a song, so make sure you check that out. Corey Kent, of course, from Bixby, Oklahoma, which is just south of Tulsa. So he is our second pick of the week for the 5 picks of the week. Then we move on to Parmalee. I like to call them there's not enough guys to call them the Backstreet Boys or the NSYNC boys of country music. But there are a couple more people greater than Dan and Shay, but they're like the next Dan and Shay if they had like a quartet. They do a lot of like lovey-dovey kind of songs. I know I said lovey-dovey, but they're very poppy. The gals like them, and they're actually pretty good. So I got to see them in concert at a private event a couple, like 2 years ago, I think it was, and they sound as good in person as they do on the album. So they're, of course, from Parmalee, North Carolina, so that's where they got their name. And this week, How Do I Let You Go is the feature song of it's the 5 pick of the week, one of the features of the 5 songs, I should say, of the week. If you don't know Parmalee, then I don't think you've been listening to country music for the last couple of years. Huge hits from them, Just the Way, Take My Name, Gonna Love You, Girl in Mine, and then Carolina. All big hits from them. I think all of them have been number 1 at some point. Maybe not Carolina, but the rest of them for sure. I know back when I was on radio here in the local area, I know we overplayed, like Take My Name, for example. We overplayed that song. But anyway. All right, moving on to Turnpike Troubadours. They're making their debut on the 5 picks of the week. And if you haven't listened to these guys, you really need to get on the bandwagon with them because they are just starting to skyrocket through things. They have a grassroots sound, and they're kind of outlaw rock meets country kind of thing. But they're really making a name for themselves and doing it their own way. And that's why I decided to put them on this week. Just Like Old Times is a new cut from them. Again, Turnpike Troubadours. They're from Tukwila, Oklahoma, and if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize. Things I won't pronounce wrong, though, some great songs for them to listen to. Heaven Passing Through, Pay No Rent, Diamonds and Gasoline, and then I love Gin Smoke Lies. It's such a great song. I can't do it any justice by trying to describe it to you. You just got to listen to it, and I think you're going to be like, yeah, it's one of those like tongue-in-cheek kind of songs, And last but not least, in the 5 picks of the week, he's also going to be our Rising Star Spotlight of the week, Austin Michael, with Back on a Bar Stool. He's from Van Alstyne, Texas, and he's got some great stuff, and we're going to focus a little bit more on him in the Rising Star Spotlight. So stick around. That's coming up in just a second here, but let's take a look at the 5 picks of the week. Luke Combs and Giving Her Away. Corey Kent featuring Cole Wetzel with Rocky Mountain Low. How Do I Let You Go with Parmalee. Just Like Old Times from the Turnpike Troubadours, and Back on a Bar Stool from Austin Michael. Those are your 5 picks of the week. Let me know what you think in the comments. You got other suggestions? Let me know. We're looking for a birthday shout-out. Always ready to give one of those as well, too. That comes up a little bit later in the show, but for sure, let's get to talking, let's get to interacting, and let's try to figure out, what your niche is, so to speak. I feature a lot of different artists and a lot of different music, all in the country music genre, trying to touch on a bunch of different things and stuff that I really think, it deserves a listen. And that leads into our Rising Star Spotlight of the week. Austin Michael, like I said, he's from Van Alstyne, Texas. Got some great songs. Back on a Bar Stool, we featured on the 5 picks of the week this week. Whiskey on a Wildfire is another great one from him. Ain't Got Me, Leave It to a Girl, and then Whiskey in a Dirt. I really love Leave It to a Girl. That's a song that's been on repeat this week, so take a listen to that, and let me know what you think. Now, Austin's got an interesting story. He was initially interested in a rodeo career before he decided to pivot to music. He's often described as blending traditional country roots with a modern, relatable sound. Some people call him like the country Justin Bieber. And it's because he's got his youthful appeal, His music often touches on themes of love, heartbreak, and daily life struggle. And that's really why I think that he deserves to be the Rising Star Spotlight. His songs just hit you right in the gut. And if you've been going through things or you've gone through things in life, I mean, who hasn't? We all have, right? This is one of those artists that is just going to really appeal to you. Now, at age 15, he was on American Idol season 17. If you remember, he was the one who lassoed Katy Perry off of Luke Bryan's shoulders. Remember that? Yeah. Well, after his Idol appearance, he spent a bunch of years honing his craft. He drove out to Nashville, and he went the route of a lot of artists. He kind of stayed out in his car, and that's what he did. That's where he lived. But that's sometimes what you got to do. Sometimes you got to get like really low before you get really high. And Austin Michael is on the rise. I'm going to say it. Now, he's independently amassed over 17 million streams for his songs. And like we said, it's blending that traditional country with the contemporary sound. He's shared the stage with some decent country artists, Justin Moore, Randy Houser, Chris Young, and even Joe Nichols. So, those guys know a thing or two about country music, right? And they've decided to feature him as well. He's got a new album coming out in March of next year. It's called Lone Star. And Back on a Barstool is one of the songs from that album already. We'll feature it in the Rising Star Spotlight. Also the New on Music Row playlist that you can find on Spotify Music as well. But you know what? I just can't say enough about this guy. He's got the craft down to a science. And his songs just hit you right where they need to hit you. And that's why he is the Rising Star Spotlight of the Week. So make sure you check him out, Austin Michael, and then let me know what you think of him in the comments. Moving on, let's take a look at birthdays and what happened on this date in country music history. Of course, we're talking about December the 5th. Born on this date in 1963, a guy by the name of Ty England. Probably never heard of him. Yeah, you've heard of him. He's a country music singer. He's a guitarist. He was initially a member of Garth Brooks' band, and then he began his solo career in like 1995. His self-titled debut album was recorded on RCA Records. He had a second one, Two Ways to Fall was the title of that, and that came in 96. He's got a bunch of singles on the country charts, about 6 of them all together in total. His highest charting single was his debut single, Should Have Asked Her Faster, and that was number 3 in late 1995. So Ty England celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Ty. Also born on this date, 1967, in La Mirada, California, was a guy that I absolutely admire. He's just a great songwriter and country music artist, Gary Allan. He had the 2001 album, All Right Guy, which contained the singles The One. That's the song. I mean, you know what? That song is just absolutely amazing. And it can make you cry. Like, I'm getting a little teary-eyed just thinking about it right now. It's such a great song. And then Man of Me, and then Man to Man, another great songs from him as well. Man to Man became his first Billboard #1, and honestly, I think The One should have been a Billboard #1 for him too, but sadly, it didn't get a lot of radio play, probably because it was probably a little too lovey-dovey, shall we say. But anyway, happy birthday to Gary Allan as well. Moving on, we're taking a look at the highlights of country music history. Back in 1957, Patsy Cline appeared on the network TV show Ozark Jubilee. She sang Make Believe, which was a duet with Red Foley. And then she also did I Don't Want to Know and Then You'll Know. And during the program, Foley presented her with the Billboard's Most Promising Country and Western Female Artist Award. And also Music Vendor Magazine awarded her for Greatest Achievement in Records in 1957 for, of course, Walking After Midnight, which I think is the song that most people know her by or for or things of that nature. At least I do. Other people are kind of nodding and saying, no, there's some other songs out there as well, too. But, anyway, I'm being called crazy for it, too. But whatever. Walking After Midnight was a great song from hers, and I don't care what you say, just take that. And as a particular actor would have said to me back in the day, or to you, she'd have been like, and that's what I'm going to say about that, and that's that. So there we go. Anyway, all right, moving on. 1978, the Charlie Daniels Band recorded probably one of their greatest songs ever. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It was recorded at Nashville's Woodland Sound Studios. It wasn't released until 1979, though. On an album called Million Mile Reflections. The song was the band's biggest pop hit. It reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, if you can believe that. I thought it was a #1 song, but it never got to #1, unfortunately. It was also featured in 1980's Urban Cowboy as well, which trivia, who was the star of Urban Cowboy? Do, 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 do. All right, I gave you enough time. It's John Travolta. But yeah, if you haven't seen Urban Cowboy, you're missing out. I don't know why you're not watching that. Anyway. All right, moving on to 2023. We got a huge gap here. I guess not a lot of stuff happened on December 5th in country music history, but this is interesting because this is one of those where it gapped out like all the way to 2023, but it's actually a song from like the 60s. Brenda Lee's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree hit #1 for the first time on the Billboard Hot 100 on December 5th in 2023. And at 78, The feat makes Lee the oldest artist to have a #1 single in the chart's history, and the artist with the longest gap between #1s following 1960s, I Want to Be Wanted. along with breaking several other major chart records. I mean, remember that song when you were a kid, "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree"? Like, that's one of my favorite Christmas songs. Like, one of my favorite Christmas songs. And it's hard to believe that it took that long to go to number one. But hey, I guess that's how it goes. All right. So that's the look at country music history. And, of course, birthdays. Like I've said before, if you want to give a birthday shout out, let me know. Hit me up in the comments, and then follow me on social medias as well. You can chat me up there, too. And, maybe we can give a birthday shout out to somebody. It's the season. It's the season of giving. So why not? All right. Speaking of giving, how about the weekly pick of the week? Now, I went a little bit different here because there's a new song out that I want you to check out by a group called Treaty Oak Revival. The song is called Misery. I think you really need to check it out because it's a great song. They've got some other great stuff as well, but Treaty Oak Revival is really starting to make a name for themselves. They appear at a lot of festivals. And this year, 2026 is going to be no different. They're actually going to be at Smokeout for the first time in history, if I remember correctly. Maybe I should do the research while I'm talking to you. I know it's them because we talked about it a couple weeks ago. But they are just an up-and-coming artist that is going to be absolutely tremendous, and you don't want to miss them at all. I'm telling you. So why are they the pick of the week? Well, Misery is a great song. It came out last week when we took a break, and it was the song that was on repeat, and I was like, you know what, these guys are great, and they deserve your love. So check them out. They've got some other great stuff. Missed Call, No Vacancy, In Between, wrong place, wrong time, and then Bad State of Mind. That's me and my crazy sense of humor going the wrong way. Anyway, they're from Odessa, Texas, and they're a band that like I said, they're making that mark. They're starting to rise up. And how did they get their name? Well, the Treaty Oak Tree is in Austin, Texas. It's like a popular tree in Austin, Texas, and that's where they got it from. So it's always cool to get the insider scoop on a bunch of stuff, right? It's kind of cool. Well, now before the band took off, lead singer Sam Canty worked a bunch of hours doing cryogenic gas plants in West Texas, the oil fields and the gas fields there, and he lived in a camper. And then in February of 2024, they performed at the iconic Grand Ole Opry, and then things kind of took off from there. Their 2025 single, Bad State of Mind, which is one of the songs that will feature on the playlist for the New on Music Row playlist on Spotify. It involved a Midwest emo riff, and it became their highest charting song, reached number one on Billboard's Bubbling Under chart, and it even led to a performance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. So I'm not saying when you get to Jimmy Kimmel Live, that's when you've made your mark for yourself, but that's for sure one of the key steps in the process, I would say, is being on a late night talk show and being able to perform is another reason for you to check them out. Now, for years, the band has built a large organic fan base. Now, they've been remaining fairly independent, focused on rowdy live shows rather than, social media viral moments. And then they briefly experimented with distribution via Interscope Records. They had an acoustic album, which if you haven't, check it out. And that's when they decided they were better off doing things their own way. The band has performed at a lot of festivals. They usually share the bill with Brooks and Dunn, or they have shared the bill, I should say, with Brooks and Dunn, Cody Johnson, Zach Brown. They were also part of the Damn Near Normal tour for Cole Wetzel. And they've got a famous show ritual, which I think is pretty cool. And this is the other reason why I decided to put them on for the weekly pick, because I like artists that do different things and just don't do the norm. You know what I mean? And basically what they do is they throw beer cans in the air during a power outage when the crowd was forced to sing the rest of the show with the band. And that was they decided to give their fans beer to drink or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it was a weird, interesting thing. And, they've got an interesting sound. They're a rock band with a country accent. And their music styles incorporates stuff from post-grunge to crunch to pop rock, pop punk. We're talking bands like Sum 41 and Blink 182. So if you were following those bands back in the day, I think you're going to like Treaty Oak Revival as well. So that's the weekly pick for the week. Make sure you check out Misery. That'll be in the New on Music Row playlist that we have created on Spotify as well. Some other stuff as well, too. Some great music there as well. Speaking of great music, this is a weekend for a lot of great music in the Chicagoland area. The 5th, tonight. Tonight. I got that right. Priscilla Block. She's going to be at Joe's Live in Rosemont. Josh Malloy is going to be at Joe's on Weed tonight as well. And then Eric Case is over at Carol's Pub. Carol's Pub is a great place to see a show. And then all weekend long, Brett Eldridge is in town for his, I forget what I think it's called The Gift, but it's his Christmas show that he does every year. And he's in town. He's going to be at the Chicago Theater. Those tickets are pretty scarce, but if you can find one, you could probably find one. There's still a few tickets left for Priscilla Block, so you can check her out at Joe's Live. That's a pretty cool place to see an artist. It's kind of up close and personal. There's really not a bad, there aren't any seats in the house there unless you're in the boxes upstairs, but it's standing room only on the lower level, but it's a great place to see a show. So that's what's coming up this week, and that's the show for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Great to be back. You could tell I'm a little more energetic. We took a week off and everything like that, but we'll be back next week, of course, with another look at the latest and greatest as far as country music is concerned, right here on the Rise Network. It's new on Music Row. I'm Chris Miles, your host, and until next week, I'll see you on the flip side.